YouTube, Brian Phillips, we've got something new, brand new. If I only had the foresight to know what to expect from this box, it would be amazing. Brian Phillips here on Brian Phillips RC. Thanks for watching. This is the Unbox build radio setup for the new E-flite 4-sided 3D flat foamy biplane.
That's the coolest looking plane I've ever seen.
I'm gonna definitely buy it now.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I forgot it was a light box.
if you're brand new to the channel, you probably don't realize we get these early samples. Sometimes they come from the factory, sometimes they come from the testing guys. So I'm assuming this came from the testing guys. So there might be some super minor deviations between this and what you guys get, but we'll see. This is called the foresight. I don't know if you picked up on that.
It's a, I know, that, your dad joke was kind of lost since there's no,
since there's no
the
label.
punchline, it's like right on it with a Sharpie.
All right, so I don't know how this is supposed to open. It looks like I might have it upside down right now because I can see a motor. Yeah, I think I'm upside down.
Okay. Yes.
Yours will not be as hard to tell. Yeah, I had mine upside down. Okay, so here we go. So we're gonna pop this thing out, and immediately it makes me think of the aerobatics, right? Mm-hmm. Or what am I thinking of? Not
yeah,
the aerobatics. The aerobatics?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a profile plane, okay? So 4-sided, foamy. Okay, so we have a manual, that's kind of handy. Yours will come with a manual. And this one should be relatively easy to build, but I hope I'm not gonna question myself here in a minute. Let's go ahead and get to cutting. Now, if you guys are brand new to Brian Phillips RC, what we do on our Unbox build radio setup, which is something we do for virtually every plane or helicopter we do, we go through the entire process of setting it up. So if you don't know what you're doing, fear not, we'll help you get it done, okay? Now, that doesn't mean that there won't be things you want to do in addition to what we do in this video at times, but generally speaking, we're going to get you set up so that you can have success, okay? So if you're brand new to the hobby, welcome to the hobby. We'll help you out, okay? I'm just going to pull these out now. These are going to separate the two wings, okay? So real light duty, very light product. Clips, see that? Mm-hmm. Press that and it presses down. This side up, remove sticker before assembly.
Okay.
Okay, poor guys at the factory had to put all that crap back on. Then we got some rods here. Now ours is probably packed a little bit more sloppy than yours too, just keep in mind. Okay, so these are the control linkages that go between the top and the bottom wing for the ailerons, more than likely. So as you can see, they're very light. Okay.
Very long.
Well, you got to go from the top to the bottom
Yeah.
wing. Okay, so we're just going to keep going. Oop, there's another bag in here. Okay, so we got a prop in here and a couple more linkages. Then there's a ring that should mount the prop. Let's see what the prop size is real quick. So this is a 946. So 945. Kind of hard to, no, that's a 4.6. Yeah, 946, not 945, 946. 4.6 inches, kind of strange. Not really sure why. But we've got these ones inside this bag and then just a couple more. I'll leave those ones in the bag and lay this aside. So as we continue in our unbox, this is all new, like I said, from E-flite. So of course, E-flite makes some good stuff. And we've done a ton of different E-flite and the competitive brands here on Brian Phillips RC. So if you're ever curious about a plane that we're building and you want to see something similar, you can check out brianphillipsrc.com, which is our website. And you can head over there via the short link, which is bprc.me. If you ever hear me say that, you understand what I'm talking about. It's just a short link to the same place. Getting there. It's kind of hard to cut this open actually because of the way it's taped in here. I do not know if yours is going to be taped the same way, but one way or another, it's holding all the pieces in, okay? That's the important part. This one has some landing gear sticking through it, so I gotta be kind of careful as I pull this out. Like I said, it's just kind of hard to get the parts, pieces apart. See what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Okay, so carbon fiber landing gear that do spin. So we see how that works. All right, and then inside here we've got the fuse. We'll just take that out because it's wanting to fall out. So that's pretty exciting. Love the colors.
Yeah.
Looks really cool. Avian motor up here. Looks like it's a 2408 1300 kV. You can see right here. If you guys didn't know what those numbers mean, is it focused? Mm-hmm. Those numbers speak to the size this way and that way. Air 630 plus. It's all labeled. Big, huge servo here. That's where the battery's gonna go. Got the EC2 connector. And this whole thing is really light, but it feels pretty rigid, so it should make for a cool flying platform. Oh. I didn't know that was gonna work, but nice. I'm gonna do that. Okay, and then we have a wing here. Don't know if it's the top or the bottom. We'll find out here in a minute. Okay. So it's like this top plane was acting as the aileron hinge, and then they added some extra hinge tape, it looks like. Ours was evidently number 2. Hopefully that doesn't mean it was a number 2. And then underneath, it's a cutaway style hinge. Big carbon fiber rods here, here, and here, as well as down the ailerons. Pretty cool. Very light. All right, and then looks like exactly the same. Only this one happens to be, I'm assuming this is the bottom, because this is where the ailerons will connect. And then they'll connect to each other from here and here. Okay, so this will be like the bottom one. This will be the top one. Okay. Horizontal stabilizer next. Comes out pretty simple. Look at all the carbon fiber.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like every direction. They want to make this thing really stiff, even though it's extremely light. So that's pretty sweet. So we've got that. And if you look at the piece count, that's all.
That's not bad.
That's all the pieces, folks. All right, so in order to build this, we're gonna look at the manual because I don't know how this one goes together. I could probably figure it out, but a lot of times when we build these things, one of the reasons we like E-flite is because there are good directions, but if you're anything like me, you don't wanna read them anyway. So I'm gonna take a seat over here for a second, and we're just gonna look at the way this thing clips together. I could probably figure it out without too much effort. Let's go ahead and look at this. All right, fancy. Okay, so what do we use for a battery? 800 milliamp hour 3S.
They're recommending an 850 3S for the recommended.
Oh, optional would be 800. Okay, so 850. So that's the same one that we just used for the helicopter, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And then the charger. Okay, so whoever rolled this thing, I want to talk to you at the factory. Flatten it out, dude. Smart transmitter file, you can download that when you're binding. So it should be relatively simple, but then you can follow, like if you're doing an NX, you would follow these steps to set it up, or you can download it. Okay. This looks pretty straightforward. Camera crew is going to go to the other side. So they're talking about putting on this first, and there's screws. Where are the screws? Did you see screws? Yes. There's screws right here.
Okay.
Okay. This looks like just 2 screws total, which is pretty good. Everything else clips together. So we're going to the second from the outside hole on that weird V for victory adapter. And then it looks like we go to the outside on those linkages, or whatever the heck that is, the control horn. Install the interplate struts. So we'll do that and then we'll put the top wing on. Should be a relatively simple. What the heck is all the waving for?
Flying wires? Do we have those?
Yeah, we have 4 of them.
Okay.
So basically what those are going to be our stiffening rods here. Yeah, so these go between the top and bottom wings, I think. Or between the elevator. No, the elevator and rudder are already there. So what are these ones for? They're short ones. Oh, that goes between the V for Victory and the ailerons. Or these do. One of these do, and one of these do. Then these go in the cross pattern. And you can see what I was talking about there. Outermost hole, except for on the ailerons, it goes to the next and most. So it looks like it's pretty straightforward stuff. We don't have to install our receiver, but we do have to have the batteries done. So let's talk about charging the batteries for a minute, because that I want to have done and ready to go. So if you guys saw just the other day, we did this Blade Revo 235, and we were using these little 850 milliamp hour 3S packs, which were working really nice for us. Now keep in mind, you need to have an adapter to plug these into the charger. So I'm gonna plug these into the charger and just get these, let that get booted up for a second. Now you don't have to use a smart battery to actually fly this airplane, but it's obviously gonna be easier if you happen to have the exact battery that they recommend. So we'll just get 2 of these going real quick. So plug that in, should automatically initiate, and then should automatically initiate. Now those are charged because I was just flying them last week. And that's why I like smart batteries. Not much prep work, you just plug it in and go. All right, so in terms of assembly, I was using that mostly just to see if it would work, and it kind of did work. So I'm gonna keep using that for now, rather than getting out something else, like the plane stand, because my guess is that plane stand's not gonna work with a darn on this thing because it's so small. All right, so the first step was the horizontal stabilizer. This is gonna obviously be the top. How do I know? Because this linkage is attached right here, okay? So I'm gonna slide this through. Until the holes line up. There's a vertical, see that vertical slide right there? Mm-hmm. And then once they line up, we got to do these 2 screws. So which direction do the screws go, camera crew, from the top or the bottom?
I believe they go from the top to the bottom. Yes, top to bottom.
Top to bottom, all right. And they're Phillips screws, so I got to get a Phillips screwdriver that'll be appropriate. You see anything exciting in there, camera crew?
No, I was just looking closer.
I grabbed
Kind
a
of the
4mm tip. This is the screwdriver I'm using. Looks like it should work pretty good. Okay. This is going to be an awkward one to hold though. It's because the screwdriver is going to weigh so much, it's going to want to tip over the plane. Nope, not hard to put it in. All right, so we've got that one done. Slide that forward a little bit. We'll do the second one. So for those of you that take apart your planes every time you go to the flying field, I would assume you'll probably take less of this apart. I don't know why you would take this apart.
It's only 800 millimeters. It's not very big.
Yeah, it's not very big. And we don't need a screwdriver for anything else then, right?
I don't think so. We're gonna align the lower wing with the snap connectors, snap the wing into place, ensure all 3 are locked securely.
Okay. So that's the top. Look. Mm-hmm. Snaps. If you can get that camera up high. Okay, snap, snap, snap. Done.
That's it?
Well, that's not it.
Well, I know that's not
it
it for that step. Okay, then we're We're supposed to install the aileron push rods before we do the next step.
Okay.
Install 2 aileron push rods into the 5th hole from the center of the servo. Connect.
Which ones are the aileron push rods?
I don't know.
I'm gonna dump that ring out. I already know what that does.
Okay.
That holds on the prop. Okay, so there's 2 choices. It's either these ones or it's these ones. It's not those. Those are the ones that go on the wings.
Yes.
So I have to assume it's probably this one, okay? Incredibly difficult to see if you turn on the light. So this is supposed to be on like this.
Yes.
Well, that's awkward. I wish it would put that on before I put the wing on. Okay, I can't reach. Got to get down closer to the work. Okay, so just awkward to get in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause and we're gonna redo this. All right, so I unclipped that thing because this should have been set in the instructions, but you can't reach. So you gotta kind of put this in first, okay? In like that, and then it's ready to go. All right, I don't know why that wasn't mentioned in order, or maybe it was mentioned in order and we just didn't do it in order. Kind of guessing the latter. Was it mentioned in order?
No, we did it in the order in the instructions.
Okay, do it this order first. All right, so now that that's done, we can go ahead and lay this over the 3 clip points. So there's 3 of these. On a flat surface does make it easier too, okay? All right, so then this needs to go to there, and this needs to go to there, but I can't tell which one's which because I don't know if the servo's centered. So I don't know if it would make better sense to bind this thing and set up the servos first, or if it's better to just kind of put these on later, because the thing is we're gonna have those X things in. Can you show me on the manual what's next?
Well, next is those wing strut supports.
This side up,
Yes.
okay, pretty simple. If it works, that didn't work. That didn't work. It says this side up, doesn't it?
Turn it, well,
Does
where
it say this side up?
Yes.
Okay, so like that. There we go. There it goes. Okay. So this one says this side up. Now it's snapped in. When you go to release it, you just press that down and it comes right out. Okay? But if you don't make proper penetration, it doesn't work. Okay? All right, so we've got the linkages here. These control arms are ready to go. They're just resting here because I don't know where this is gonna be centered yet. So there's no sense in putting that on yet. But since I'm sitting here and I can see the prop longing to be installed, I'm gonna slide that back and show you how to do this while we're on this spot, okay? So you see this O-ring goes on here, hold the prop back. Oh, good Lord, that is gonna be hard to do. That is gonna be incredibly difficult to do. I guess I'm kind of glad I'm doing this now because it ain't gonna be any easier with the plane built. There's just nothing to hang on to. There we go. Okay, so I've done this a couple of different ways. Sometimes I use a screwdriver too. Screwdriver does make this easier if you do it right. I'm gonna get the same screwdriver I use to tighten the screws. And I'm gonna show you a trick. This doesn't always work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, I'm gonna hook it on. And then I can use this screwdriver to hold it. And then I can walk the screwdriver up here. And you see what I'm doing? Ah, dang it. We'll pop. Okay, so that obviously didn't work because I slipped off of it. You guys see what I'm doing here? It can be a little bit challenging to get this the first couple of times. When they're brand new like this, they're also a little harder to work with. Just having a really hard time getting it I've done this a million times. It feels like I should have a pretty good crack at success, but oh, come on. There it is. Okay, I got it. So you see, it's definitely better than having to fix a prop, but I'd rather just not have one that's gonna break. Okay, what are we doing next? You're putting these rods on. I'm assuming that's next.
Yes, and then the top wing. Install the fly wires. Install the Z-bend side of each fly wing to the center of each wing.
Okay. Turn on that flashlight thing. You guys see down here? That is really hard to see in this lighting. Yeah, I see. Oh, there's a hole here and a hole here. Which one goes where? Boy. All right, so there's a hole here. Camera crew is going to turn on the light again. And there's a hole here. They're saying install the bottom from the front. This is what they mean. It's confusing. Okay, once you stick that in there, then you rotate it. Then this goes up, I guess. Okay, so once you're done with that, then you can do the other side too. Okay, so the other side's kind of the same scenario. Now keep in mind, since I don't have my control linkages for the ailerons mounted yet, I have to be a little bit careful I don't get tangled up here, okay? So I don't know if I want to be here or if I want to be here, but I guess for now I'm just going to assume I'm going up with this one, okay? So in, then spin it until it gives you the ability to drop it in. I didn't get it. It's incredibly hard to see. That black on black makes it, I mean, it's cool looking, but it makes it really difficult to see in this lighting configuration. Okay, can't get it that way. I got to go under like this. Okay, under like this, and then, there we go. There it is. Then I don't know if this is going to be above or below. I genuinely don't know. It's so close to the center. Did they say anything about it?
I think it's going to be underneath.
Like that. Okay, but you guys kind of see my problem, right? And then we're supposed to put the wing on. So the wing is going to have clips. It's going to clip down like this. And then there's one attachment point here for this thing. And then there's going to be another attachment point that goes down the opposite direction, okay? So I'm assuming that this goes down that way.
Yes.
So if it goes down that way, then from the front, you're going to go down like this.
No, the top needs to go from the back.
Okay, so it goes in like this. Come on. This is awkward. Here. In the hole. There it is. Okay. So just out of curiosity, if you were taking this thing apart, why would you even take those out? Why wouldn't you just leave them in there?
You probably would not take them out.
Okay, so once that's in, you'll rotate, drop it down. Okay, then they drop down like this, okay? So once this drops down, they can just guide themselves around and flop and hang and get in the way and cause all sorts of grief. Then you can lift this up, snap it down, okay? And then you have to get all this stuff attached too. So I'm gonna attach this. Okay, so that's attached. Make sure that all your rods are where they need to be. Can you go to the other side, please? Okay, so this is now attached. Now we have to figure out how to actually attach these permanently. So this is too long now, or it needs to be flat, they said. So this one's too long, this one's too long, this one's too short. I don't know if they're gonna all be the same length or what, but I'm not worried about the aileron control horns yet. We'll just leave those out of the way. But I'm just trying to figure out and understand exactly how the heck you're gonna know what's square. I don't know. I can't see anything. Camera crew, can you see?
I cannot see.
Okay, well, I can't move. So you're gonna have to get in a spot where you can see. And then I'm gonna slide these fuel hoses out. You guys see that? So then this is way too far out, so I have to turn this a bunch. See, I'm turning it, turning it in, turning it in, turning it in. It's making me think, see, there's a front and there's a back. Are you sure that these weren't supposed to be out here? Like these from here to here and those from there to there?
It's not how the directions sound.
So do the directions tell us which one to put it in? Because there's a front and a back. Is there a picture of it?
Yes.
Is there a picture that indicates if it's going from, do you see that, how that comes up? Right there, that goes up. I don't see the second one.
It's because it's behind here. But it says from the center of each wing.
From the center of each wing. Yeah, this useless instructions. That is, they need a detail, a picture that tells you how to do it. Because the thing is, you could go from this one too and come back. I don't know, but this is too long. Because it's too long, I'm like about 99% sure this is wrong.
Well, why are there 2 holes?
There's a hole here and a hole here.
Yeah.
And then there's a hole here and a hole here. So yeah, you could hook them from the front or you could hook them from the back. But it doesn't, you said, there isn't really a clear instruction that tells us though, right?
Nope. All I see is
I think it goes to the front.
Okay.
Because I don't know how else you would get it to go. These are the things that need to be crystal clear in the instructions, in my opinion. When they're weird like this, this is far from crystal clear, I can tell you that. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this out. Probably gonna have to take this apart again. Guys, if you're brand new to Brian Phillips RC, this is what we do. We show the struggle. We're definitely down for the struggle, but this is the sort of struggle that annoys me, if you haven't noticed. Stick it in the hole. Once it's in the hole, I'm not gonna be able, there it goes. And wow, look at that. Now it reaches perfectly. See? That reaches down now perfectly almost. And then this one reaches up almost perfectly. So I don't understand, like, is there something wrong with that?
I don't know.
So why does the instruction, why are you so adamant about it? That's what I'm trying to understand.
I didn't write the directions.
Okay, all right. We don't have a picture of this, do we?
This is the only picture, no, like a
What
picture
about
of
the
the
front
plane.
of the manual? Does it show on the front?
Not that you can tell. I mean, if it goes that way, it says to prevent them from rubbing the front to back. Or so are they talking about the front to back holes?
I really don't. I don't know. Because to be honest, to me, it seems like the dimensions are going to be dictated by how long the rod is. See, the rod is like the length the rod is. Now, this was a product sample, so somebody's already messed with this one. So like this one's probably going to have to turn in a little bit. But it's like I wouldn't have been able to connect it before. Like not even close. Okay, so that's on. And they're saying they want this on a flat surface. That part it does say in the manual.
Yes.
Which I kind of understand because then that forces the wing to be flat, I think. Or it should.
At least the bottom wing.
What do you mean?
The top wing, couldn't you pull, you could technically pull it out of level, I suppose, if you tried hard enough.
Yeah, so this one I'm gonna hook up now. I need it to go out just a little bit. 1, 2, whoops, 1, dang it, I went the wrong way. There's 2, there's 3, there's 4, okay. So guys, if you're brand new to Brian Phillips RC, this is part of the building process, the assembly process, if you will, We understand this isn't a build. This isn't like an R for a kit. And yes, I did build a few of those as a kid, so I know there's a difference. But what I'm trying to say is there's a point behind showing the struggle, is because the struggle is not just for the sake of struggle. The struggle is for the sake of like, hey, maybe it's a really bad struggle and you guys don't want it because of that. Okay, that was ridiculous. And there's 2 fingers between here because there's a mount point here or here and a mount point here or here. So on mine, on the further back mount point, I went to the upper side. And on the further forward, I went to the lower side. And what that's gonna do is it's basically gonna make those sticks work without bumping into each other. But I don't care if I bump into each other. I just wanna make sure I can reach, and I couldn't reach before. So now I have to redo this one, folks, because this one's in the wrong spot now. So I'm just walking back here. I'm gonna pull this out. So guys, leave it in the comments below what you think of this part of the assembly. I know that you guys are going to be seeing it fairly early, and so most of you won't have one, but if you're watching this after the fact and you're thinking, good Lord, I'm glad you had problems, because I sure did, leave it in the comments below. Camera crew's trying desperately to get you guys a shot. Every time she moves, it seems like it's the opposite of what I'm expecting, so. Right there needs to go just a little bit further. You see what I'm talking about? That needs to be extended. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm trying to make it so that the pin is going that way, okay? Yeah, that needs to go out a little bit more. 1, 2, 3, okay. We're getting close. See, that's lifting up the wing still. There we go. Doesn't that feel like it's lifting the wing still a little bit? Try one more time. Man, we turned that out a lot. I just don't want it to be where it comes off the rod.
Right.
You know what? That's not wanting to go through. I wonder why. Sometimes when you force them through, it breaks the tip off and then they don't work. So right here's what I'm talking about. You see how there's like that little dingling tip here, the head? Sometimes if you force the head through, it'll break right off.
Can you use the end of one of those other rods and make sure the hole is open?
So you want me to ram it in with something bigger and then stick it in?
Well, I mean, it's better than breaking the dingling off.
I don't know. That seems like sort of cheating.
I can see white. I can see through the hole.
Okay, I'm trying.
Yeah.
I rammed it through with a thicker rod diameter.
Okay.
Can feel a little self-conscious now. Now it goes through no problem.
See?
It's all reamed out.
Told you.
Good Lord. Okay, so that's on there. Barely though, I gotta say. Whew, man. That dingling has gotten around.
It's not broken.
Yeah, it's, wait till I get my hands on it. This has not been my favorite build so far. Okay, now that's close, really close. This needs to come in a couple of turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half turns. Pushing the rod through, went through like totally fine. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if that dingling was just more well endowed or that hole was just like a little bit more
A little tight.
prudish. So there you have it, guys. Amazing. So just so you can see what we were struggling with so much, there is a forward and a backward position on the top and the bottom. Okay, if you do the back position, then this gets close to rubbing those. So I'm almost wondering if that has to be above this. And really, if that was up here, then that would potentially get in the way of there and conflict. I guess I'm just like honestly not sure. Really bad instructions. There needs to be like an Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta hole. And then they could just say, go from A, you know, to the top, and then from C to the bottom or whatever. Because that is very confusing.
Well, and I don't understand why there's 2 sets of holes.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking that it's like they changed the design or they weren't sure where it was gonna exactly line up, so they just wanted flexibility. But it's like flexibility makes it challenging to build because you don't know what flexible.
Ambiguity in the installation process.
Yeah. Okay, so my controls are still disconnected. Now also right here, speaking of ambiguity, look at this. Looks like there used to be something right there that's not there anymore. And somebody decided they wanted to use this instead, I guess. Because look. Oh no, that does go there. See?
Oh, passes through.
Passes through like that.
Okay.
And then look, there's a little notch right there. Can you see that notch?
I can.
Okay, so if you're doing this wrong, it won't notch in. Okay?
I'm gonna put that in there and I'm gonna go to the other side so they can see.
So you're trying to get a shot of the black rod penetration?
Yeah.
Okay? So watch. Here it goes. There's a snap right there. Watch this snap.
Oh,
There
that's
it
where the
is.
notch goes.
So like you can press this down or you can pull this, well, it'd be up technically, and then that would allow you to pull out. But I'm gonna tell you something, it's gonna be kind of challenging to do that because it did not want to let go. Okay, well, there you go. That was super convenient. Really easy. Now we just need to have these ready to rock and roll.
Yes.
So these are gonna go, which way are they gonna go, hon?
I don't know.
Does it matter?
Probably.
Okay, so I'm gonna do it the wrong way first.
The Z-bend goes on the top and
I did the Z-bend on the top, it's a miracle.
Finally. Not like you would listen anyway.
Sometimes I stick it in the hole before I'm told which hole to stick it in.
Right.
There. And then I just let it dangle.
Okay.
So now why are we letting it dangle, camera crew?
Because we don't know if the servos are centered, and they probably are definitely not, because you messed with all of them.
Can they hear that?
I don't know.
Our cat is going to town down there. I don't know what she's meowing about.
She's playing with a pipe cleaner, and then she cries the whole time.
Kind of reminds me of somebody else in this house building airplanes.
Crying the whole time? Yeah, sounds about right.
Okay, so it's the foresight. I had
built.
the foresight to know which hole to stick it in.
And it's still only been 37 minutes.
So that's like
That's like
instantaneous.
a record for you still.
That is.
Even with all your whining and crying.
So really what we need to do is we need to now set up the radio setup, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So guys, we're gonna do the radio setup on the NX10. Now why NX10? You could do NX7E, you could do the NX6, you could do the NX8, you could do an IX14 or 20 or whatever it is you wanna do. I think you can even do a DX, but I just don't know much about those.
Yeah, it does have DX setup listed.
Okay, in order to do this, we have to get it into bind mode, okay? In order to bind it, I need to know where to stick it.
Okay.
It's kind of a common problem today. Okay, so this would normally go on the far side. How do I know that? Because that's where the Velcro is applied, okay? Now, normally I would put Velcro on a battery on this type of application, but because I already have a teensy tiny little bit of Velcro on this one,
Oh, okay.
via my little strap design, I'm gonna see if that works, okay?
Okay.
Let's see how bad it is to load this thing. I'm assuming it's gonna be kind of crappy. Okay. So I'm gonna stick that through. And then I'm just gonna slide that in until it gets to the point where the Velcro sort of does something. Okay? And then I'm gonna hold this strap. It's got that little, you know, it looks like a foot. Tab. Is that what it is?
It's not a foot.
It's not a foot?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna try to do this. This is like really awkward. Every step of this has been awkward. Good Lord. Am I like doing something wrong?
I don't think so.
Or is this just like awkward? Is it actually awkward? Or is it just in my head?
I mean, the first time is always kind of awkward.
I mean, like if you stick it in the wrong hole?
I mean, you don't know what you're doing, so.
See, it's like I said. Okay, so that's in there. Now, I'm not gonna sit there and pretend like that's great. I'm gonna fold this tab over. And it's not gonna stay, is it?
You gotta twist it.
No, I already twisted it. But I don't wanna undo the Velcro, hun. See?
Right.
That's just not that much hold. I'd feel more comfortable if I could get more on there, but it's incredibly difficult to actually set that stage. Okay, so now the other thing too is if any doubt, take your prop off. Make sure that the numbers are facing towards you when you're facing the plane, okay? Okay, and before we do radio setup, we're gonna take a second and clean stuff up in case I try to fly it off the island again. All right, so we're gonna do the radio setup now. So I put a box over there just to protect the stove, just in case. All right, so this is gonna come up with whatever model we were flying last. It should be like the helicopter. And yeah, Night Timber, there you go. Cancel and back, add new model, and acro, and create. Remember, we're not building a full profile, we're just getting one ready so that we can then bind and we'll pull the model out of the transmitter, or excuse me, the receiver. Okay, so once this starts, of course I have like 4 trillion models in here, and Spectrum Airwear is only supposed to support 250, so we've proven that wrong. I guess we're gonna find out when they start crashing. Okay. Throttle cut. That's the only thing I'm gonna turn on. Walk over to monitor. You can see it's working because the throttle's not moving. If it were off, now it's back on, okay? Knobs and switches in their normal positions. I'm gonna be prepared to bind here in a second. If this were to take off, I'd probably get cut, so I'm gonna be careful and be prepared. And you see how my hand is down low? And you see how the prop will clear if it were to go. You could also just take the prop off, but you saw that was no fun. Okay, so this has already been bound. So you can see it's not connected. So I'm gonna press this button for a minute. I'm gonna keep my hand out of the prop clearance. Okay, so now that that's flashing, I'm gonna click and scroll down to bind. I'm gonna see. One set of dances, okay? So the only surface that's hooked up is working, and now the rest of them, we'll just let it go through auto config. So the receiver contains a preloaded smart file. You can skip or load. I'm gonna load, this will overwrite the settings, and then you wait for this little, let's get that bug. Ah, look at that, there it is. Oh my God, we have to go shut all that crap off.
That's why I don't know if I like
it's so annoying. Okay.
Because you change everything immediately.
So let's go in here and just figure out our audio events before I murder this thing.
Switch changes.
Okay, we'll just do that. Ha ha! Ha ha! Oh no! She's having like a conniption fit. Okay, so we'll leave throttle cut. All right, so now that we have that done, we can go back in and we can throttle cut off, a little bit of throttle. Throttle cut's on. I can now test the throttle cut, okay? So because I can test the throttle cut, I feel confident in finishing the build, okay? How do we finish the build? First things first, we get these things landed, okay? All my control surfaces are centered. Cam crew is gonna turn the light on ASAP. I'm gonna hold this in position and see if it lines up. It is pretty dang close. Yep, okay, so snap that in. Then slide this doohickey back. You see where I'm holding my index finger, or in my case, my middle finger, my thumb? That's level, okay? Now I'm gonna move this make sure it's level here. You can't really tell here, but this you can also use as a square point too. And then I'm gonna see if we got lucky. Feels like we're pretty close. I'm just gonna try putting it on and show you what it looks like. That dingling's through.
Looks pretty close.
It's pulled down.
A little bit down.
It's pulled down. It's not right. So we gotta fix it. So how do you fix it? I'm gonna run this down 1/2, 1 whole turn. And we'll see if the dingling alignment's better. Okay, so once that's there, nope.
One more?
At least 1 more half. Guys, a lot of you will try to skip and shortchange on this step. As soon as you do that, you're gonna get poor flight. You're gonna get poor flight performance. Okay, so there's another half turn. All right, that looks pretty good.
Pretty good.
Nope, it's still going downhill. I wonder if it's just the weight of it. I don't want poor flight performance.
No.
Okay, that's good. Now it's good.
Okay.
Okay, so you snap that, then you slide this down, that doohickey. So now when I move the ailerons, the aileron, at least one side will work, okay? Booyah, booyah. Check for binding, make sure you got the right side, top or bottom, and it looks like we did. So we're good there.
That's a lot of movement.
That's what she said.
Did they set it up with spoilerons?
No, that's the rates.
Oh.
Jeez.
Sorry.
Do you watch these videos? Oh,
No.
you live them.
Why would I watch them?
You lived it.
Our
You
kids-
already put your time in.
Our kids watch them.
Yes, it is kind of funny when they do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna see if this lines up. Then I'm gonna give it penetration. Oh, it needs to go back half a turn. That's weird. Okay, so 1 full turn this time. Okay, see if that's good. No, it's not.
Not even close.
Needs to go in a lot. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you for shining that light in my eye. I appreciate it. It makes it a lot easier to do my job. Okay, so that's good. I think it's actually too far. Half a turn back. It's barely too far. Okay, so let's see how this looks. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so we'll just slide this back. Booyah. Now, we have to do just like we did on the other side. So I gotta say, if it weren't for those stupid cross brace things, this wouldn't have been too bad. That light, why is it on?
Because it's really
Thank
hard
you.
to see any of that stuff.
Okay. Oh, dude.
That's like perfect.
Okay, I'll take it. All right. Okay, so now we're just gonna slide this thing down. Okay. Camera crew's phone decided it would be important to interrupt our footage to schedule an install. Thank you, Google.
Yeah.
Not. High, low. We're gonna be changing that shortly.
Yeah.
Okay. Elevator up and down, that's not hooked up either. Okay, so elevator's a little tricky because you gotta make sure that we're not in safe, which I know we're not in safe because there's only one dance, okay? So this is supposed to go to the outside hole, and we're definitely not there, okay? If I point this level, I gotta hold the tip here. Ooh, we are really, really close actually. I'm just gonna go with it's good enough. But I have to hold this rod here and then center that because it's not centered. Meaning I don't wanna apply a side load on my control horn output. Okay? So now we can see all the surfaces move. Elevator up, elevator down. High rates. Yaw left, yaw right. Roll left, roll right. Okay, very good. All right, so there you go, guys. So we have the physical build done. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and modify our settings a little bit. We already did a little bit of modifications. Let's scroll over here, see if we do maybe have thrust reverse. Okay, so now that we're in here, let's go ahead and turn on thrust reverse. I'm gonna go into system setup, disconnect RF. Oh wait, do we have flaps? Let's check first. Did you see flaps?
I did not.
Nothing. No flight modes, no flight modes. No flight modes. Okay. So if you want flaperons, you're gonna have to do a bunch of work, just full disclosure, and that's because you can't really do flaperons when you have a single servo, okay? So flaperons would require a second servo or a dual servo mount right here, one of which would come out here and control this side, one of which would control the other. So we're not gonna talk anymore about flaperons. I'm actually kind of happy about that because I didn't wanna waste my time on flaperons on this plane. All right, so I'm gonna scroll to throttle cut. Yep, that's already working. And then I'm gonna set up system setup. I'm gonna set up switch G. So I'm gonna go to channel assign. Okay, it looks like we don't have anything going on these high modes. I think we have to be up to 10s, like 6 through 10 for thrust reverse. Why don't we just use 9 since it's available?
Okay.
I'm gonna set that to switch G, okay? So switch G is now assigned. Okay, so now I'm gonna unplug the plane and plug it back in. Boy, it's like, you gotta really know. There's a lot of holes you could stick this in. Okay, so plugging it back in. Scroll all the way to the right. You gotta wait for it to boot. Up elevator. Wait for the startup. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on. Let me in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Whoa, did you see what just happened? Fixed wing.
Ooh.
It's because I was holding
Yeah.
it, which I hate that. It doesn't have a delay in there. Brake disabled? Nah. Nah, we want reverse. Which, by the way, if you guys didn't know this, proportional means that when your stick is up past, it'll go forward, and down below, it's gonna go backward. I've never set it up, so that'd be pretty cool on a 3D plane. Okay, reverse, brake force. I wish I could set like negative. No, you can't. Oh, 7. Yeah, we're gonna not do that. .4 is pretty high. And we want to go to channel 9. Okay. Now it's rebooting. Throttle cuts on. Okay, so it's not going to dance because the receiver's still got voltage. Okay, so I'm going to scroll out of this menu. Everything's working, as you can see. Throttle cut is off. Forward thrust. Now reverse thrust. Now reverse thrust. Now forward thrust. Okay, so monitor mode. You're looking for aux 5 or 4. There's reverse thrust and reverse thrust. So that's at 100, and then forward thrust is minus, okay? Throttle cuts on. We already knew that, but we wanted to show you how we learned that. Digital switch setup, select switch, switch G, okay? So I want forward thrust to be when it's forward, okay? So my neutral setting. So this is gonna go to negative. So I always love it when it has to go backward first. So it's gonna give us forward thrust in that forward position, okay? There's forward thrust. Then we're gonna do negative for reverse thrust. Plus 100 for reverse thrust. I love how it's super clear and not confusing at all.
No, not a bit.
Why do we set position 1 to 100? Because I want, anytime that I go out of the normal position, I want it to be reverse thrust. Okay, so now I'm gonna walk out of here. I'll go back to monitor so you can see what's happening. Now monitor so you can see what's happening. So there's forward thrust, then there's reverse thrust and reverse thrust, okay? So throttle cuts off, a little bit of throttle, so you can hear it, hopefully. Then reverse thrust, forward thrust, throttle cuts on, down, okay? So everything is working beautifully, that's wonderful. All right, all the surfaces are working, so the next thing we need to do is go to rates and expo. we're gonna set everything to switch F. They want 30%, then 20, then 20. That's not what we're doing. We're gonna do 5. Then we're gonna do 10. Excuse me, we're gonna put the rate to 100. And you know what I might do? Nah, we're just gonna do it the normal way.
Okay.
Then this one, we're gonna drop to 90. And then we're gonna set this to 20, just like normal. So you have like a halving effect and a doubling effect. So it's gonna be nuts here. It's gonna be neutral here. That's where we're gonna start. We're gonna have a doubling and a halving, okay? Then we're gonna go from aileron to elevator. We're gonna change it from C to F. In this setting, we're gonna drop down to 5, which is gonna be nuts. We're gonna drop this to 10 from 20, and then we're gonna reset that to 100. And then in this setting, we'll reset it to 100 and scroll down to 90. And then we'll leave that at 20, okay? All on switch F. You guys see what's going on here? I don't like searching for switches. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what they've done. It's just a very subjective thing, this. Rates, whoops. That stands for on the fly, and I don't mess with it. I'm sure that there's some cool procedures you could do to really make the Expo super handy. I'm not messing with it. Whoops, that was supposed to be 20.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. And 90. Okay, so that's where we're gonna start. We want it more sensitive up here. We want it less sensitive down here, okay? Throttle cut's already set. Timer. We don't really need a timer. Let's do a countdown. Let's give ourselves a 5-minute flight timer, activated over 25%. At 1 minute, I want a voice call out. At 20 seconds, I want nothing. At 10 seconds, I want a voice countdown. Where's voice? There we go. At expiration, I want tone and vibrate with a tone every minute thereafter. Okay, what that's gonna do is throttle cut's on, by the way. It's gonna start counting down, and then when we're done, we can tell how far we overshot. So I'm assuming we'll get about 5 to 10 minutes of flight time on this with that 850 milliamp hour battery. And by the way, I gotta say, the landing gear are literally plastic, so they are rock hard. And the rear landing gear doesn't exist, okay? But you can see that we have a steerable tail wheel. Nope, we don't. It's just the rudder. And so this piece of carbon fiber comes down and it drags, okay? So we'll have to see how that works. I'm guessing it'll be low friction, but you're gonna be in the air really quick with this plane, okay? All right, so now what else would we normally need to set up on a plane like this?
Safe.
So we're gonna go to forward programming. I'm gonna turn on advanced menus, gyro settings, AS3X settings. So mode 2, 13, 19, and 53. So I have no idea what channel they have it set to. So let's walk back out. We're gonna scroll down to system setup, and we're gonna make an assignment. In this case, I'm gonna set up flight modes because that's what we normally do, and I think that's a good way of doing it. Switch D. We're gonna give it the D. Switch D. So now it says flight mode 1, flight mode 2, flight mode 3. And then what I wanna do is, before I get too excited, I'm gonna go to channel assign, and I'm gonna make the D switch, this channel 6 right now. I'm gonna inhibit that. Why are all these switches attached to stuff?
I don't know.
I don't know what they're doing with them.
Well, they use
all
the
other crap.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm using switch G for thrust reverse. So really, I'm gonna set this to the right knob, or the rotary knob. So channel 8's the rotary knob. And then I don't really care. Oh, we don't have anything plugged into those, do we? No, we don't. Yeah, that's right. We only have 4 channels, technically. Right? Mm-hmm. So I'll use channel 10 for either D or all the way to the left, and then one more flight mode. Okay, so flight mode's on channel 10. What is channel 10?
nothing because we went 9 for thrust reverse.
No, I mean, what is channel 10 in terms of aux? Thank you. We're gonna cancel that warning right now. Telemetry, smart battery. Yeah, let's just shut that off. Inhibit. Yeah, I definitely don't care. Yeah, I don't care either. But with this, I do care. What, 3.45? What? I don't know.
What do you want it to be?
That's so high. Voice and vibrate. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. That's just high. I don't know. Whatever. We'll just leave it the same so you guys can see how it runs.
Except you should change the warning reports to not every 10 seconds.
Where was that?
Go back to Smart ESC all the way at the bottom.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're not going to listen to them anyway.
Well, 15 though.
Okay.
Well, this is a 3D plane. I mean, you could be hovering like a helicopter. Okay, forward programming, getting back into it. Oh, you know what, guys? I'm so sorry. System setup. I forgot to do my names. Okay, so we're going to flight mode setup. Whoops. Flight mode names. So this one is going to be AS3X. So artificial 3-axis stabilization, artificial stabilization, 3-axis. And it's technically AS3X plus, but you guys get the idea. And then we can make it say it by scrolling all the way to the literal bottom of the list. Okay, where is that thing? There's safe, and there's AS3X. Then off, highlight, cancel, cancel. And you're like, but there isn't an off setting. We're gonna make an off setting, guys. Oh, oof, oof. It's oof. Where is it? What?
Oh, did it go back to where you started?
I don't know.
That was weird.
Landing flaps. What?
There aren't even flaps.
How could you even have flaps on
Yeah.
this? Okay, so we're gonna do safe on this one. Okay, so S. A, sensor assisted flight envelope. Safe. And then we'll change this down to safe. Okay, so now we can walk out. Now, the 10th channel, which is like auxiliary 5 or something, or 4, is gonna be where we need to access in forward programming. So forward programming, now that we're connected, gyro settings, AS3X settings, so we haven't made the assignment yet. Other settings, where is it? That's where you can totally reset if you want. Other settings. Oh, it's under Euro settings. Safe select channel, aux 5. Booyah. We're turning it on now. Okay, so safe is not on in this mode. It's off. And then safe would be on. So you see how it's reverse? Watch this, guys. Click, servo setup, travel, reverse, aux 5. Now remember, this is not like our reverse thrust because that you want to not float in the center. Okay, this is different. We're going to use the center as off no matter what. See how you can see it right there? It's really nice. Okay, so now scrolling back into forward programming, Euro settings.
So many comments. That's not how you say it.
Okay, very good. I'll just show you what it is. If that doesn't change, then you didn't do it right, okay? The connection failed, that's why I didn't update that time. If that happens, just go back in. That does happen, by the way. All right, so gyro settings, AS3X settings, we'll just go back to where we were. So now we have flight mode 3, flight mode 2, safe mode. It's kind of weird that the gains aren't on there. Oh, that's because we don't have this set up right yet. See how it says safe is off, AS3X is on, off and off. Oh, it is on. Okay, it's on. So we're basically done on this. Now, there's also other settings That's where you would factory reset if you want to blow everything out and start from scratch. Okay, but I'm not going to do that. All right, so now that we're in AS3X mode, I can show you how to test your control surfaces. You can already see this working, I hope. In fact, throttle cuts on. So always check this stuff. Throttle cuts off. That's got a good power to weight ratio. Throttle cuts on and tested. So obviously everything is working now. So the rudder is moving to resist the impact. Can you see it good?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so it's going the right direction, really easy to see. Now elevator, same thing.
Yep.
Can you see? Mm-hmm. Now ailerons, you got to check both. If it's one servo, you really need to see one, but okay, good. A little harder to see.
That's harder to see, yeah.
I'll hold the camera for this one then. Okay, you guys see this? Just look right there. As I roll, it's going up. As I roll the other way, it's going down. As I roll this way, it's going up. As I roll that way, it's going down. Same thing here. As I roll up, as I roll down, it's hard to see, but if you can't see, take your hand, rotate it. It should go into your fingers. Rotate it, it goes into your fingers. Now, this is being pressed through this, so sometimes you got to put your hand here so you can feel it, okay? And you can definitely feel it. So the rudder's super easy to see because as you move the plane, it's going to be really obvious. Now, if I put it to off, then safe, same thing, except it's going to try to auto level. And then you can look at the elevator, it's trying to bring you to level. Okay, trying to bring the nose up to level. Okay, so we've got it in AS3X mode. This thing is ready to rock and roll. And I didn't even try to fly it off the counter for you guys today.
You didn't.
We've got thrust reverse set up. We have all the different things set up that you're gonna want on this plane. And I can guarantee you that at this point, this plane should fly pretty good, if not really good. Center of gravity is the only thing we have to check. And since we're using the recommended battery and there's not a lot of play, my guess is it's gonna be right where it needs to be. Okay, so what was the worst part of this build, camera crew?
Those wires.
They were annoying. It's in the instructions, really.
I didn't even see center of gravity. Oh, there it is.
80 to 91 millimeters from the leading edge.
Yes. It's recommended at 87, but 80 to 91 is the range.
So they give us a recommended?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's highly unusual.
It is, very. That's why I read it.
So 87, huh?
87 is the recommended.
All right. Well, then I'm going to turn this on. 87. Okay. Just torque that down a little bit. All right, so guys, from the leading edge, you got to remember this leading edge is deceiving because it tapers back.
Yes.
Okay. So 87 puts you right here. So I'm actually just going to make a little hash mark right there because this thing's sharp. And then now that I have that hash mark, I can go and use some sort of a straight edge. It could be as simple as this thing. You know what? It's the carbon fiber rod.
Oh.
See that?
No, hold on. Yes.
That's got to be right where it is, okay? So I'm just slightly behind that right now. So in order to make it better, I would be sliding forward just a hair on my battery placement because I'm just a little bit tail heavy on their recommended CG. But like, honestly, I think it's about right.
And
so,
for a 3D plane.
Huh?
And for a 3D plane, a little tail heavy.
Yeah, a little bit tail
deal.
heaviness is not going to be a huge issue. But I got to say, guys, when you fly these models, and if you find that you're having a hard time controlling them or it's not a good flight experience, sometimes it's because you have too many, you're too far off the mark on the center of gravity. You're either too tail heavy or you don't have enough play or you have too much play on your control surfaces. Usually when you're new, it's too much play, okay? So that's a lot of play, and then we limit it almost none. When you go down to safe, look how much it gives you.
Wow. That's a huge difference.
It's like it's not even doing anything. That's because it's trying to level you too.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, so safe might be pretty lame on this plane. That's hilarious. That's how fast the servos are. Look at that. That's nuts.
Wow.
Okay, so super excited to see how this thing flies. I gotta just try this real quick. Throttle cuts off. There is such a thing as heading hold that I could turn on, and I bet this thing would fly right here, right now. I just don't want to get my hand into the prop is what makes me nervous, so I'm gonna pick it up down here. It's gonna have like totally unlimited vertical.
What are you at throttle?
That's 50%.
Wow.
So yeah, it's gonna have some power. So guys, there you have it. It's the Foresight from E-flite. Looks like it's gonna be super fun. Obviously, we haven't had a chance to fly it yet, but we're excited with all the smart technology that's packed into this very small package. Thrust reverse is probably not gonna be super necessary, but I think it's gonna add a new element to this too. And to be honest with you, pulling the preloaded
File.
the profile
Yeah.
has worked okay for us. I do firmly believe that it still helps to just go through the process. I feel like we save almost no time.
Right.
It's this much time. On the more complex wing types, we might save more time.
And on the
And on helis,
definitely.
on helis,
Super nice.
yeah, because helis are a pain. So I don't know. I'm not a believer yet, but maybe I'll eventually be convinced. So that all being said, looks pretty cool. Can't wait to fly it. You guys have already seen it fly because if you're watching this Unbox Build radio setup, there's a good chance you watched us fly it first. And if you didn't, check out the Maiden Flights. It's a separate video for airplanes because we do the full unbox, build, and radio setup. And that includes all the tedious and frustrating steps. And part of the reason we show that is because we want you guys to understand what you're getting when you order it. And you can order it with confidence, okay? So when you see a video from Brian Phillips RC, we're not faking it for the camera. We're just doing it just like we would if we weren't on camera, except there's usually a little bit less bad language. This build was not hard except for those stupid rods.
Yeah.
And the reason it was hard is because the instructions were unclear.
Yes.
So for you, you have no excuse because you watched us do it and you can copy along the way we did it. Now, are we right?
Well, I don't know.
Exactly. We don't know. Because the truth is, we could be wrong. Is it going to impact the flight performance? I really, really highly doubt it. Okay?
Right.
Also, I got to say, if you're planning to take this thing apart, I would take a paint pen and I would mark with a paint pen here and here. And then I would mark with a different paint pen here and here.
Yes.
And then I would do that for each and every one of those rods. Mm-hmm. And then once you've done that deliberately, you'll be able to tell. And I would do it on the Z-bend side if you can. It'll be easier to see. That's going to greatly improve your circumstances. Plus, the other thing is when you take this apart, you don't have to take it apart the way we took it apart, okay? You could probably leave a lot of those rods attached and still put it back up in the box. Or better yet, don't put it in that giant box.
And say it's not a very big plane, really.
No, it's not. Well, it's kind of long.
Yeah.
But 2 screws back here, 1 clevis, you know, no screws, all releases. It's almost, to me, it's like, why did you spend so much time making it easy to take apart?
Right.
When it's not going to end up being easy to take apart. But whatever. I'm glad that they're coming up with the technology. I just think that it sometimes doesn't always work out the way they were hoping. Maybe they weren't going to have these controls, the X's, at one point in the build. but
Maybe.
we're super excited to see it fly. The other thing too is I've never seen Horizon do this yet, but I know some guys will put drag inducers on their surfaces so that they can go really slow. I love slow flight performance. Okay? So if you can make a plane fly really, really, really slow in the 3D environment, it makes it better for flying inside, okay? And I'm not talking about necessarily flying in here. I mean, I could probably fly it in here if you count the flight on the way to the wall.
Right.
For a sudden stop.
Maybe
Hopefully we answered all your questions, guys. The Foresight from E-flite looks to be a real fun experience. It just reminds me a lot of the erratics. And the erratics is super fun, seems to be a pretty popular plane. Obviously, there's a lot of planes like this in the marketplace. When you get something that's built by E-flite, keep in mind, they're more expensive than some other profile options, but keep in mind this is a fully assembled plane with the exception of the annoying rods. Imagine having to put this all together. You're probably thinking to yourself, no big deal, and you might be right. But if you go and do that on a manufacturing table and you're trying to do it 4,000 times in a month for an order, it takes a lot of labor. So remember to keep that all in mind when you are comparing this against competitive offerings. A fully assembled plane is always going to be more expensive, okay? So super excited about it. I want to see it fly. I'm sure you guys do too. Thanks guys for being here and being part of the club on Brian Phillips RC. If you're one of our members on Patreon, thanks for supporting us monthly, or one of the members on YouTube, I should say, because that's also monthly support. We appreciate you guys supporting us. If you want to become one, check the links video description below. You can become a Patreon, a YouTube member, or super thanks, as well as PayPal if you want to do one-time donations. But none of those things are as good as buying an amazing airplane, because I know you want it. But maybe you can't get this one today. Or maybe you want to see something else, or you want to see, you know, that F7F or that T28 back there, or the SWS Timber. Whatever it is that wets your whistle, you can check it on brianphillipsrc.com, or you can head to bprc.me. That's a short link for brianphillipsrc.com, and you can compare and contrast all these contraptions up against each other in time and space. We have thousands of videos for you to watch right now. You don't have to wait for something else to release. And then maybe if this thing is pre-order and you're wanting something right now, you've got a few bucks burning a hole in your pocket, you should be able to find something there that meets your needs, okay? Remember, here on Brian Phillips RC, we don't care what you get as long as you're getting something, because we want you to be in it with us and not just living vicariously through Brian Phillips RC. Even though we do some really fun stuff on this channel, it's not gonna be near as fun as doing it yourself. I promise you that. Flying RC is one of the most immersive, amazing RC experiences that you can have, and I think you need to be in it with us, not just watching us.
And you say that all the time, and somebody commented on a video this week that he said, I watched for like 2 years. I lived vicariously, I watched, and now he has 6 or 8 planes. You know who you are. We know who you are.
And see, that's the thing, guys.
It.
We hear it all the time.
Yep.
We're like, hey, thanks for finally going through step by step by step. And we also hear you go way too fast on radio setup. Believe me, if I went any slower, the videos are already really long. We try to strike the balance between blasting through it so nobody can tell what's going on and just being completely boring. And there is definitely a balancing act. On the easier beginner planes, we try to go much slower, and you guys will notice they're long videos. They're like 3 hours long instead of 2 hours long, or 3 hours instead of an hour. But on the more sophisticated, more advanced planes, when they take us a little bit of doing, then of course we take longer because it just took longer to build. Or the more difficult or lower quality builds sometimes take us a little longer. Or the really high quality builds, you know, the balsa wood builds, things where we have to do a lot of gluing, you know. So we try our best, guys, and we know that you guys are out there, and our mission is working. It's just, I just want to turn the key and start the engine and just have it work, okay? And you're probably like me. We want to start people flying and then let you take over. You watch 4 or 5 of our videos if you're paying attention. That's a huge time commitment, by the way. Maybe like 20 hours on the right planes. But that's enough to get most people started, okay? And I'm serious. This is a hard sport. It is not handed to anybody. I don't care if somebody gives you all free planes, all free radios, all free batteries and chargers, which most people don't get. Then at the end of the day, they still don't give you the skill, okay? It is hard to do some of these things. And I'm not talking about building. The building is pretty easy, but flying is hard. And it is a sport that takes time, patience, expertise, skill, muscle memory, persistence. And these are all things that you can't buy, but you can earn them, okay? And so when you earn them, you're gonna understand what I'm talking about. And by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch a maiden and say, oh wow, that looked crappy, I could do better. Show me how much better. I'll enjoy hearing your feedback. All right, if you guys have stories to tell about that, leave them in the comments below. It does really warm our hearts to see stuff. We don't always reply to everything, but we see most everything, especially when the videos are first released. So we keep a close eye on stuff when they first come out to try to put out dumpster fires when they start, which we haven't had one for a while. We must be doing a bad job.
You jinxed us.
Yeah, exactly.
Dumpster
All right,
fires.
so the NX10, by the way, has been working out good. The smart technology has been working well. Ever since we had the firmware update to AS3X Plus, we've been incredibly happy. There has been one since. I haven't touched it with the 10-foot pole just because I'm still happy. So if you see something on yours that I'm not showing, it's probably because you're watching this in a longer time and you have since upgraded your firmware. And I did have a friend that was trying to set up a 230S. And this is a 235, the Revolution 235 helicopter that's on the ground next to the BO-105.
Yep.
Okay. He was struggling because some of the menus have changed on the helis. Preloaded profiles that are stored in those receivers. The best time for those is doing helis because helis are pretty complicated to set up. We have set up that M4 has a Spectrum Airwear controller in it. It's got a flight controller. It's very good. The same controller is in that next one down, which is the
330.
330. No, that's
no,
not
the
the
360.
That's the 360. That's the Fusion 360. And this is a very expensive flight controller. It's actually cheap when you get into flight controllers, but it's like 200 bucks, okay? But it's a receiver and flight controller setup. And same thing here. And I think they have that same one in this.
I think so.
This one as well. And so what I'm saying is, as you get ready to do bind and fly setups on helicopters, it's more involved than airplanes. And so if you need help, come to our channel, but there might still be a little bit you have to interpolate from what we did when it was available to what you're doing now, that things have maybe been updated firmware-wise. But you can rest at ease. If you watch our videos and you follow along, you'll eventually see exactly what you need. And a lot of times, you've got a plane you're trying to set up, and it's a plug and fly. Say it's one of these models over here, that CJ6 that's up front, okay? That's not a Horizon bind and fly, but we use Horizon hardware in it. And so you can see exactly how we set that up start to finish, and we do the entire build. These bind and flies are easy to do. They're very simple, very basic. And that's part of the reason why you'd be crazy not to get it as a bind and fly. If it's available as a plug and fly and you're flying on Futaba gear, go for it. I understand why you would buy that. But if you're using Spectrum gear, why are you not buying it? It's so much cheaper. I mean, you're saving like 30 to 50 bucks on the receiver, sometimes 60, 70 bucks getting the receiver in this package. So always get the bind and fly. Even if you go in there and tear it out and put a Futaba receiver, keep that receiver, sell to your buddy who uses Spectrum gear. Guys, you'd be crazy not to, okay?
Yeah.
These AS3X receivers are getting so good. It is phenomenal. We have been super happy with them. I know they're not the cheapest ones. There are cheaper ones out there. And I know these aren't the cheapest transmitters, but I'm gonna tell you what, where the help is where you need to be when you're new, okay? That's what I found out, and that's why I'm with it now, okay? We had a couple other brands. We had nothing but trouble, frustration, and I'm talking about when you sit there for like 3 hours and you get nowhere on your transmitter. And I'm not an idiot. I'm not the smartest guy, but I work with technology for a living. I usually can figure stuff out. Man, there's stuff that just bogs me down for hours. With Spectrum, I've not run into that most of the time. There have been a few, but I mean, I'm talking, I could probably count on one hand the times where I've spent, you know, hours on a plane. And I can think one of them was a 50 millimeter EDF driven F-14 from Hobby King. I spent tons of time on that one. It was with an old non-AS3X receiver. It was very basic, but I had crazy stuff in there to make the wing sweep mechanism work and all that. But I can't think of another time offhand where I really fought. It would have been like
sailplanes where you're trying to do super complicated stuff. Yeah.
Yep, 380. Airbus A380.
Yes.
That was super complicated. I did outboard, differential thrust, inboard, combined regular thrust. I had 4 ESCs. We had flaps, spoilers, the air brakes. I mean, it was super, super cool. It didn't last long, unfortunately. And there's just been a few planes where back in the day, you couldn't mount a receiver a certain way. And we were using like Lemon gear. And we were using the Spectrum gear to work with the Lemon. And we had stabilizers. So we had to rotate and change channels. And I'm talking like channels for ailerons, and rudder had to be switched because we had a mounted goofy.
Yeah.
Tons of complex stuff, but we were still able to drain this information and share it with you. So if you're doing something crazy, you're probably in the right spot. I mean, shoot, we have some planes in there that have 2 receivers in them. because we needed a 6th channel and we didn't have it, so we could add flaps to ultra micros. We've done some crazy stuff, and there's people out there that have done way more sophisticated stuff. But we want to make it manageably sophisticated so that you can actually have a good experience. And sometimes that means you can skip past a section where I'm beating my head against the wall and just see what we did, okay? So that's the benefit of watching a Brian Phillips RC video. All right, so hopefully we answered your questions. The E-flite Foresight profile plane, all new from E-flite. Check it out. Links are in the video description below. When you buy from the video description, you're following links. You'll help support us financially when you pull the trigger to make the purchase. You don't buy anything when you follow the link. It just brings you to a page where you can then choose to put it in your cart. If you buy other stuff, it helps to support us as well. So obviously, if you're there and you need some foam glue because you know you're going to crash it, this foam to foam is a good product to get while you're on Horizon's website. And I definitely suggest you get some of that and get some CA and get the other things that you need. My suggestion too is these batteries are small. You're gonna wanna chew through a bunch of them, so get a couple of those. They are pretty expensive though, this battery. The EC2 connector is off-putting to some people, but we do have some new adapters too, in case you guys didn't know about it. When we did that helicopter, we showed them. This is the newest adapter. And this is so dang cool, look at that. So it's like, takes up no space. So you see this? Look at that, I love that. Then it takes it up to a bigger size, which is pretty sweet. Now they just need to make one that's the other way around. So that you can have an IC3 equipped battery go down to an IC2 output
device.
We do have adapters, but they're the wrong direction. So I like a good adapter. I get excited about stuff like that because I'm a nerd. Or anyway, oh, so that's the battery if we didn't talk about it. This is a Gen 2 Smart Pack. It does have the balancing circuit. If you don't know what that balancing circuit looks like, I have a sacrificial balancing circuit from a 4S pack that I crashed or some stupid thing, so I took it apart. This is what that looks like. So it actually is like mounted in here similarly. And that's why you see this kind of this bulge on the end here. So you've got this portion as the battery, and then this portion is the bulge. And then underneath there, what that does is that takes in each of the cells. Excuse me, this might have been a 3S. Yeah, this is a 3S. 1, 2, 3, and then a positive, yep. So this balances that. Okay, pretty cool, right? And that means that when you have a smart circuit like that, there's also a data line that comes out. And that data line right there uses this as common ground. And then this is power. So this is the main positive lead. This is the negative lead. And then this is the data line, okay? So when you plug that into the plane, a lot of times you're gonna see there isn't a data line. There isn't one of these on the receiving plug. But then when you come over to the charger, there is. Why? Because when I plug this thing in to charge, it's gonna tell me information about the battery, and I can go, bring that camera up. You can see all sorts of good stuff. And then you can press and hold this. Whoops. And then you can go to smart stuff, and you can see all sorts of settings. So 72 hours is what that's set to. I never changed it. You can change that to up to 240. You can set the standard charging current. Okay. And then you can change where it goes to in the auto discharge. And then you can also see the battery history. Pretty cool. So we got 10 cycles on there. Pretty neat. And it shows you the current temperature, 73. Okay. Now the other thing too is when you get ready to use your XPC battery checker, then you can also see all that data that gets imported to here too. And you can set those settings there too. Once you unplug it, it'll carry from charger to charger to charger. So if you're using your buddy's smart charger, it's just gonna fire off right away when you plug it in. So lots of good reasons to have those. The best reason is the auto discharge in my opinion, because I got so many batteries, I can't keep up with them, okay? If you have 400 batteries, it's hard to keep straight which one needs discharged. If you got 6 batteries, maybe you don't need that feature, so. All right, if we answered your questions, leave us a thumbs up. Don't forget to click the bell for notifications when you do subscribe to Brian Phillips RC, because we're gonna have tons of content like this. We're gonna help get you out of the chair and into the air. And that's what we've done for almost 10 years now on YouTube. The camera crew is my beautiful wife of many years, and she helps me to film, and so she does a great job. So thanks, camera crew. And thanks to E-flite for working with Brian Phillips RC, where we tell the full truth, nothing but the truth to help us guide, which means that we could occasionally get annoyed about how hard it is to build something or how terrible the instructions are. And in this case, we felt like those rods were kind of annoying, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. We've had lots of different problems with lots of different rods over the years. And in this case, we got it done, as you can see. All right, leave your questions down below. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And then also special thanks to all those people that support us in all the different ways we listed earlier. We really appreciate you. But the biggest thing is, if you want one of these, get it ordered ASAP. You're gonna enjoy it with us and not just watch us. So much more right around the corner on Brian Phillips RC. Thanks for watching.